first of all, thanks so much for this wonderful music. I think we're so lucky that you're singing in the group and that you've also written this music.
Choral music's always been so very important to me as a composer, so it's a real joy for me to be working with an ensemble that is able to perform some
Good,
pieces.
so there's some mutual benefit here.
Absolutely.
I think the fact that you sing is really helpful. It shows in your writing because it's so singable.
Well, I've been a choral singer all my life, from children's choirs all the way through, although I never really formally studied voice at all.
Oh,
but
were
I
you
did.
a pianist?
I was a composition major,
Right.
but piano was definitely my instrument.
Tell us about the genesis of this piece. It's based on a song. You chose to use just the one verse.
Just the one verse.
Right.
Well, actually, it was written for a competition, and they specifically picked those lines from the song.
Oh.
And I had written other psalm settings. I've written a number of psalm settings. I thought this would be a great challenge when you're very limited with the text.
Right.
Choosing to use very limited materials, but then treating them in an ever-developing way it goes hand in hand with that choice of just one verse.
Did you map it out in your mind? To me, it's almost like an A, B, A, B, A, but each of the A's and B's is
Exactly.
a variation.
Yeah,
Did you have that in mind?
Exactly. It definitely is A, B, A, B, A. But each one is unique.
Right.
The same melodic lines appear in each of them, but the underlying harmonies change quite a bit. And the placement of the melodic lines changes. They shift by beats, or sometimes they happen, in the very simple opening, we get a whole note in all the parts in bar 2.
Right, yeah.
But I think that's the only time it happens. From that point on, there's always one voice that is coming in a beat early, or the melodic line gets shifted and starts getting inserted into those pauses, so that the opening A section's in G, the middle one's in A, and then it goes back to G at the end. The B material starts in G and then also goes to A. So they're both kind of going up a step and then back down.
And then back down.
Sort of a Schenkerian plan. I do think about that sometimes when I'm mapping out a piece of music, which relates to the very first two opening notes of the melody is G and A. So when you use that gesture and then that starts to inform structurally what's going on in the music, that's how we create organicism in music. That's what it's all about.
And I noticed you change texture too. That's another way that you get some variety because the beginning is so beautifully simple. Just everybody's on their own part.
Yes.
And then it thickens and there's lots of delizia and so forth.
Yeah. I love playing with counterpoint. I've taught counterpoint. I taught Renaissance counterpoint at Western for a year.
That's one of the things that's interesting to me, and this because so many of the contemporary composers tend to write homophonically now, and so everything moves together. And as you said, that one place where you have the whole note is really the only place in the whole piece. and otherwise, there is some beautiful overlapping of melodic material. And I think that's what keeps it, part of what keeps it interesting. Yeah. Tell us about the text stress a little bit too. Again, you've got that limited text.
And unfortunately, we're dealing with some words that aren't the easiest to sing. Here and
I
prayer.
know, that's exactly right with all
So,
that.
working, you have to be aware of that. I think that the stress is not as important in the A material as it is in the B material. Then you get a more rhythmic and let my cry, that's intended to be definitely more rhythmic and with the strong syllabic stresses.
Who are some of your choral models when you write something like this? What sort of sound do you have in mind?
Some of my strongest influences compositionally are 20th century French composers. I love Poulenc, Messiaen, Dutilleux. I love the 20th century English church music as well, like Herbert Howells. He's a strong influence on my writing.
One night you did ask us to start with a simpler sound. When I use that term, I always mean a little less vibrato.
Yeah, certainly.
So to me, that was one instance of maybe where you wanted a little more purity.
Maybe more English choral sound.
Yes, as opposed to that big dramatic sort of...
Yeah, and that comes back to the Renaissance choral influence as well. I do like that cleaner, purer sound that lets the harmonies come through. It lets the contrapuntal texture come through much more clearly.
Absolutely. What do you want the audience to walk away with after they hear this?
There's nothing more gratifying than to hear a fragment of melody that you've written playing in somebody else's head.
Okay.
So when they walk away humming that tune,
Right.
that is really meaningful to me. Beyond that, I mean, I want them to think about the beauty of choral music, the beauty of music, and music as a form of prayer.
Right.
For me, composition is a form of prayer, singing is a form of prayer, and that's what this piece is all about.
Hear my prayer.
It is.
Absolutely. Well, it's wonderful, and we're very honored to sing it. So we will do our best, and hope that people do walk away with that feeling, and also that they sense your sincerity, which I think all the singers have really understood from the beginning. So what we're going to try to do, I think, is to bring that across.
Thank you. I'm
Thank you.
so excited to have this performed.
Good. Thank you.